School District Board of Education for Wednesday, July 28th. And we'll start with a roll call vote. Member Lynn? Oh, actually, I don't think Mike's on, come to think of it.
See him yet.
Okay. I'm here. Member Sneed?
Here.
Member Espinosa?
Here.
And Member Georgino?
Here.
And I guess we'll keep an eye out for Mike, and when he joins, I'll go ahead and announce it. With that, we are on to public comment, and I just confirmed we have no public comments tonight. So then we'll move down to closed session, and the items we're going to be discussing in closed session tonight are personnel matters under Government Code 54957, public employee appointment under Government Code 54957 sub B1, and there's our regarding two different curriculum coordinator positions. And then item number 3, which is conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 subdivision D2 is one case. And is Mike here yet? So
No, he's not.
Andy, are we able to go into closed session and have him join us when he comes in?
Yes.
Okay. Then with that, I will go ahead and call for a motion and a second to adjourn the closed session. Motion from Member Sneed, I saw. And a second from Member Espinoza. And I am a yes. Member Sneed?
Yes.
Member Espinoza?
Yes.
Member Georgino?
Yes.
And we'll let Mike join us when he arrives. That we're on to closed session.
Can you just let me know what time he shows up so I can
will.
log it?
I will.
Thank you.
Oh no. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Here.
I didn't get an invite to the breakout room. Marie, I didn't get the invite to the breakout room.
Let me tell Andy.
Oh, here, I got it now.
Perfect. And then,
Andy, if you're there, you can just release everything at this point. There we go. Okay, welcome everybody to tonight's board meeting. I'm going to go ahead and call a motion and a second to reconvene to open session. May I have a motion and a second, please? Motion from member Len and a second from member Sneed. And I'm going to go for the roll call vote. Member Sneed,
Yes.
member Espinosa,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
member Georgino,
Yes.
member Lynn,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. So we are now back in open session. And is Kiana with us tonight? Kiana Lee?
Yes.
Okay, welcome. Thank you. First real official one. Okay, tonight's board meeting is being digitally recorded. And with that, I'm going to move on to the Pledge of Allegiance, which is supposed to be led by member Espinosa tonight, but I think she has a guest she wants to request.
Yes, I would like to invite Kiana to give the Pledge of Allegiance tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Espinosa. Please stand and put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kiana. And so with that, we are on to the next item, which is announcement of actions taken in closed session. And I do have some announcements to make. In closed session on the motion of member Georgino and the second by member Espinosa, the board took action to appoint Amy Gerling and Scott Sherman to coordinator positions. Scott will be focusing on secondary and Amy will be focusing on primary. And the vote was 4-0. Member Lynn hadn't joined us when we took the vote. So congratulations to Amy and Scott. Now, item number 10 is actually a new item for us. It says changes to the agenda and it calls for a vote if we want to change anything. And we've added this because in past meetings from time to time, we've had issues where we wanted to drop something. And if we can do it up front, this is the best way to do it. But I don't anticipate any changes to tonight's agenda other than the fact that I know our community member recognition won't happen tonight. It'll be at our, hopefully our meeting in August. So I'm just going to go ahead and call for a vote then to approve the agenda as is. And we'll start first with student board member Lee. Preference vote? Yes. Okay, then member Sneed.
Yes.
Member Espinosa.
Yes.
Member
Matt,
George. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. You didn't ask for a motion. You only went for the vote.
Oh, bad call.
I'll
Thank
make
you
the
very
motion.
much. Thank you. Okay, we have a motion from member Lynn and a second from member Georgino. Thank you very much for catching that. And so we'll go back to the vote again. Even though you already voted, I'm going to start at the beginning. Student member Lee.
Yes.
Okay, member Sneed.
Yes.
Member Espinosa.
Yes.
Member Georgino.
Yes.
Member Lynn.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well, so the motion carries 5-0. With that, we are on to item number 12, some special recognition and some principal recognition tonight. And that'll be presented by Dr. Fricker. Kim?
Yes, thank you so much. There is no real words to say thank you to all of the staff members, administrators, both at the district office and out at the school sites, our teaching staff, our certificated and classified staff, for all that they've done throughout the pandemic and all of the tremendous work that was accomplished and things that were implemented in our district that makes our district much stronger today than it was a year ago. So we do have a video that I would like to share, just kind of honoring those folks out in the field and all of the various corners of our district for all of their efforts. I do want to have special recognition that Mr. Bob Westgate put the video together, so thank you very much. And it is my honor to share that with you.
ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, you'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go, never say goodbye. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, ooh. You can count on me 'cause I can count on you. If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on what friends are supposed to do. Oh yeah. You'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go.
Very nice. Thank
So I
you
just
very
want to
much.
say,
Very, very nice.
I just want to say thank you to Bob for putting that together. Thank you for all of the principals who helped to make all of those pictures happen and celebrate all of the people across the district. It truly was a tremendous effort by so many, and we truly are grateful to all of you. Thank you so much, TCUSD.
Yes, excellent. Very nice. Thank you. With that, we're moving on to item 13, public comment on agendized, non-agendized item, and I'm assuming nothing new has come in.
No, Matt, there's no comments.
Okay, thank you. And so with that, we're going to move on to item 14, community update. And I just have one brief announcement. That's Relay for Life season coming up again. Relay for Life in Temple City has been scheduled for Saturday, November 6th from noon until 8 p.m. And so you'll start to see various flyers for fundraising events. And just if you don't know already, Temple City is one of the strongest fundraisers for Relay for Life in the area. So always do well. And your participation is greatly appreciated. With that, we're going to move on to item 15, district updates. And we're going to start first for business services and educational services from Dr. Mercedes Gomez. Mercedes?
Hi, thank you. Yes. So in business services, we've been busy with various year-end activities, as well as processing all of the additional payroll from summer school and all of that work, and then verifying accuracy for the retro checks, which have begun going out. And so those should be received this week by TCEA, CSEA 105 and management. I see Robin cheering, yes. We've also been knee deep in our new software interface, Smarty. And so this being the first board meeting where we've actually processed contracts and requisitions in Smarty, you may have noticed on in the contracts that they look a little bit different, the ones processed in Smarty. So we did provide a little bit more detail. We hope that's helps aid in greater transparency. And I wanted to just take a minute and thank Diana and Maria, because they worked really hard this last week trying to get everything ready for posting. And, you know, it was hard because none of us had done it before with Smarty. And so everyone kind of pitched in and worked together. And so hopefully, you know, we're open to feedback. And so hopefully the board likes the new format. I did remember that Donna wanted it to look slightly different and provide more information. So we're hoping that, you know, it helps in that. And in ed services, we're happy to have wrapped up summer school. I know the next big push is on STEP and the virtual academy and the start of the year, which I know the new team has been hard at work on and will do a great job with. And I wanted to just take a moment to thank everyone, as this is my last board meeting, but I know that Temple City will continue to demonstrate educational excellence every day. So thank you.
Thank you, Mercedes, and thank you for your time in our district as well. So with that, we're going to move on to personnel services, and then I'm include Dr. Hannah. Dr. Hannah, Hannah, if you'd like to go ahead and present to us, appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. So first, in personnel, this is always a crazy time. We are hiring. COVID has made education just a whole new ballgame. So hiring, enrollment, all of those things come together, and they're just crazy different. So our personnel team is working well together in trying to get all of our positions filled, so we're ready for this new year. At the same time, California's credential monitoring system has opened up. So, you know, just throw it all in at one time. That is a really intensive project of just making sure that we are in compliance with all of the credentials that are required for every position. And I just want to give a shout out to Juris Burgos, who we could not do anything without. I mean, she's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to credentials, and her hard work on everything is greatly appreciated. Then in student services, it just keeps going to enrollment. We get a big flux. I get so excited. I want to tell everyone, oh my gosh, we got a graded flux. And then not so much. And so then people are moving out of the state, and we're losing people mostly to relocation, but we are gaining people. So we're slightly growing, but it's just very strange in the way the patterns are. And if you talk to people in other districts, you're finding this sort of the same information you're hearing. And then when it comes to tech, this is a time of year to get everything cleaned up, ready, re-imaged. Our tech team has done a really great job. I want to give a shout out to Andrew Jennings, who really found a way to make logging into computers much easier for our kiddos, so that whether you logged in at a school site or you're logging in at home, the cloud sees you and recognizes you. So he's done a really great job with that. And then, like Mercedes, I just wanted to offer my sincere gratitude and thank you to the board. You've been extremely supportive in one of the hardest times in education that probably I will ever know. And we could not have done anything we did without your support. And I really greatly appreciate that. And then to Dr. Fricker for all the opportunities you provided me. I was able to learn so much in this district, and I am so grateful for all of those things. And I will greatly miss the community of Temple City. I really appreciated my 2 years here in the district. And just a last shout out to the people I worked with. I can't not say thank you to my ed tech team, which was Carrie Smith, Scott Sherman, Amy Gerling, Dr. Gomez herself as well. And then as well as our personnel team, Dr. Juris Burgos and Lucy Lynn and Isaac and Lily. And then I want to also recognize our counselors in the district. Not a lot of people knew that I worked with the counselors regularly. They were my happy spot. I always told them, you're my happy spot. I come to work with you when I really need a pick-me-up. And I was always grateful for that teamwork. And lastly, I don't want to forget our union leadership. A lot of people talk about the difficulty in working with union leadership, and I wasn't able to share those stories. I really appreciated working with all of you, and I am grateful for my time here. So again, thank you very much.
Hannah, thank you very much as well for your service to our district. It's certainly kind of bittersweet for us to see you moving on, but we understand when those kinds of things happen. We wish you well, and I know the two of you in particular put in many incredible hours over the last year, and the district wouldn't be in the situation it's in right now, which is moving in the right direction if it hadn't been for the contribution of the two of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we're going to move on to item 16, bargaining unit comments. I'm going to start first with TCEA and Kyla, your staff. Kyla, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, hi, I'm sorry, I'm having a little internet problem. I hope you can hear me. But I just wanted to echo really what you said. Hannah honestly pulled off some minor miracles during this pandemic. I don't know that our tech has ever been as strong as it is now, and to do it during a pandemic when we haven't gotten to where we are even outside of a pandemic was just amazing. And so I'm very sad to be losing her, and also Mercedes, wishing them well, and just very appreciative for the work that both of them did over this last year and a half in particular with this pandemic. So thank you both so much.
All right, thank you, Kyla. With that, we're going to move on to CSEA 105. Robin, do you have anything you want to share?
Hi, everybody. First of all, retro checks, yay. And thank you so much to that department, because I know they're working their tails off getting all that done. So, and we all appreciate it. It's perfect time during the summer to receive that. Okay, so Hannah and Mercedes, thank you for everything. I'm not really sure what to say. It was kind of shocking and all of a sudden type thing. But Hannah, I think we worked very well together. We had our little bumps in the road, and we were able to just work them out. And that's the way it should be. And I appreciate all you did for our classified staff, especially during this year, because it was amazing what we pulled off for them. And Mercedes, you too, you've always been really fun to work with, and you always make me laugh. And so anyway, thank you both for everything, and I hope you keep in touch, and good luck with wherever you go. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Then with that, we're going to move on to CSEA 823. Art, are you out there? Does not look or sound like it. Okay. So with that, we're going to move on to board member comments, and we'll start first tonight with the member Espinosa. Melissa, what do you have for us?
I'll be brief. Good evening, everybody. In terms of attendance, I attended the small summer graduation ceremony for a small group of seniors. And I just want to wish them well. You did it, and the district is proud of your efforts. Also, in terms of community support, I attended the Dine Out for Relay for Life at Yogaland, which was not difficult at all to participate in. And then, lastly, I really want to thank Hannah and Mercedes for your leadership throughout the years that you have been with us. I think you guys were an integral part of not only getting us through, one of the most difficult years in the history of education, but there have been some really creative solutions that you all were a part of that are long lasting and just has made it a better place for our students. And I applaud you both for your efforts in your part in that. Sad to see you go, but I know you will do great at whatever you choose to do. And thank you for your service.
Great, thanks, Melissa. With that, we're going to move on to Member Georgino. Donna, what do you have like to share?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Getty and Dr. Gomez for their commitment to this district. What you have done, especially this past year and a half, is just unbelievable. And I thank you so much. I wish you the best. And hopefully I'll see you at a CSBA event or something along the lines. Since this our last meeting, I've worked fireworks booth for some of our high school clubs, and from what I understand, they did pretty well this year. So I'm looking forward to them being able to use the money and have some activities during the next school year. I also participated in the state budget webinar, which was quite interesting, and we had some fairly good news for the coming year. Unfortunately, it's just for 1 year, so we'll see what happens next year. But the news was probably the best I've heard since I've been on the board, so that was good. I attended the Dr. Doug Sears Learning Center summer graduation, and congratulations to those students for hanging in there and making their graduation happen. So I'm really happy for them. Last night, I participated in the City of Temple City's Committee on Aging meeting. I am the board representative to that. And they've been kind of stifled this past year and a half, as you can imagine, but they're hoping to be able to work on some of their goals in the next year. One of the things they're doing is they're going to have a newsletter that they're going to send out to seniors in the community. And they're looking for information to put in the newsletter. And one of the first thoughts I had was that we put on a lot of really great, affordable entertainment that I'm sure seniors would love to attend, like our musical, for instance. So hopefully we can work out some kind of system where we can get the information to the city. They can include it in the newsletter, and maybe some of the seniors can enjoy the entertainment that our students put on. Also, they have a goal regarding lifelong learning, and we have an adult school, and I understand that the city and the district have worked together a little bit, but hopefully in this coming year, they'll be able to work together more to be able to enhance our adult school and also to give seniors opportunities for lifelong learning. And finally, they're looking at doing some intergenerational activities. And one of the thoughts they had, because we're kind of limited still at this point, but was maybe having some of the children at some point make some cards that could be given to the seniors in our community that have home meals delivered to them. Last year, the city delivered 40,000 meals to seniors at home. And so they thought it might be nice if the children wanted to make cards that they could include in some of those meals. So that's some food for thought for the next school year. And then I wanted to congratulate Michaela Sanchez, who was a junior at Temple City High School. She was selected to the all-area softball team. Also, congratulations to Cassandra Gaywicki, who was a freshman last year, and she played on the softball team, and she was selected all CIF Division IV. And finally, I wanted to congratulate Temple City Amateur Softball Association. Their girls 16U softball team won the state championship, and I believe right now they're participating in the national championship. And to me, this is real important because these programs are feeder programs to our high school. And we see that we have our girls softball teams doing very well, and that's because we have a strong softball program in our community. And that's why I support youth sports in our community. So congratulations to them, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. With that, we're going to move on to Dr. Michael Lynn. Mike, what do you have for us tonight?
Thanks, Matt. I would like to start by echoing Dr. Fricker's special recognition to the staff and teachers for all your hard work and continue to provide a world-class education to our students. We're certainly very grateful for your sacrifice, dedication, creativity, and resiliency. I want to thank also Mr. Westgate for this wonderful video compilation that we just saw. Also, congratulations to Amy Gerling and Scott Sherman in your promotions to district coordinators. It would have easily been a 5-0 vote if it were not for a family emergency that affected my ability to join on time to submit my vote. So therefore, congratulations on your promotions and becoming administrators, It is a major step towards the right direction. I would also like to thank our site and district administrators. Particularly, I would like to thank Dr. Gomez and Dr. Getty for your service and contributions. We appreciate the outstanding work that you did for us and wish you the best. And that is it all for me. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Mike. I'm going to go ahead and go next, and just want to echo all the appreciation that everybody has shared with all of our employees to get us through the year. And special thanks to Hannah and Mercedes. And as I already said, we'll miss you, but wish you well. And we really came out of this thing pretty good, compared to a lot of situations. So thank you all. I also want to take an opportunity to thank the 3 people and organizations who donated a little over $6,500 to our district. A special shout out, and I hope I'm not going to embarrass her, but Janet Collins, who's a former teacher from Longden, made a very generous donation to start funding the Jen DeVito garden at the site, and I thought that was very touching. I also have, like Donna, had a chance to attend. I actually attended 2 budget presentations. The first was from LACO, and it was conducted by Capital Services, and it was about an hour and a half, not quite. And the good news was that we were getting a 5.07% COLA, super COLA they're calling it. And the reason it's a super COLA this year is because about half of that, 2.31%, is for last year, which we didn't get until now, and another 2.76 for this year. So that's all good news. I also attended a 3-hour presentation from School Services of California following day on the 15th, Friday. And they went, the devil's in the details. They went into more detail than I could follow, to be completely honest. But anyway, those were great seminars. I also wanted to mention, I've been going by each of the school sites and seeing the shades coming up all over there. I see Longden and La Rosa and the high school all have theirs installed. I see Oaks almost complete. And then I see the poles are in place at Emperor and Cloverly. So I don't, we should have done those years ago. They look really nice and spiced the place up and made it look a little more festive and picnicky kind of a thing. But anyway, so that's great news, and I'm glad to see that happening as well. And then lastly, just wanted to mention that tomorrow the city and the district are having our ad hoc committee meeting. We get together about every 3 months to discuss things we can do to help team with each other. So I look forward to that. With that, I'm going to move on to, not last but not least, Miss Mary Sneed. Mary.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. I also attended the summer graduation at the Dr. Doug Sears Learning Center. Congratulations to their 3 graduates. Their 3 summer graduates. We're very, very proud of you. Families were there. They were very proud to see their kids finish and go through a graduation ceremony. And I also want to thank the staff at the Learning Center. They have such a passion and dedication to their students. It's just so evident in everything they do and how they talk about what they do. And I also want to thank Ms. Lopez for a tour of her new classroom. She kept apologizing that she was just settling in. It was just great to see what plan she had. Also, congratulations to the players on the Temple City Amateur Softball Association team for winning the state championship, and to Cassandra for being selected to the All CIF Southern Section team. Congratulations to Mia Oberlander, who's the theme winner for the 2022 Camellia Festival. She won with her theme for Small Town Big Dreams. I think it's going to be a great theme for next year. The Pride of Temple City is the high school band is looking for volunteers for their band camp. They weren't able to have it last year, but they are moving ahead this year. August 9th through the 13th from 3 to 6 p.m. So they need some help preparing and boxing up food and water for the band kids, band members and auxiliary members. So if anybody's interested, they can contact Jennifer Pedraza, or they can email the band at potcbandbooster@gmail.com. All they ask is that you come masked and ready for a fun afternoon. The band is also selling beautiful lapel pins that were designed by Lisa Kidd. They're selling them at the park during the concerts for $7 or 2 for $10. They're really beautiful. Want to welcome Linda Heredia as the new principal at La Rosa, and we wish you all the best in your new position. And also congratulations to our new assistant superintendent of personnel, Tamar, and Richard, our new assistant superintendent of instruction. Congrats to Amy and Scott in your new positions. I know you're going to do fabulous. And last and certainly not least, but thank you, many, many thanks to Dr. Hannah Getty and Dr. Mercedes Gomez. You have just gone above and beyond for us in your time here, especially this last year. There are a lot of challenges, and you just came through so beautifully and helped guide us through this. And I want to wish you all the success in all your future journeys. So thank you so much for everything you've done for us, and wish you only success. So thank you.
Thanks, Mary. With that, we're going to move on to item 18 and student board member comments from Kiana Lees. Kiana, what do you have for us?
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. So we just finished and concluded the TCSF summer school sessions at the high school and our different school sites. Athletics teams all throughout the summer have been practicing to prepare for the fall athletics season. Many of them are practicing at the gym at TCHS and all throughout our TCHS campus. We also just held our associate student body at Temple, the high school. We just held our annual summer retreat. And we worked this year a lot on outlining our mission statement and especially plans for this year's student activities and athletics programs, as we are coming into a new school year. I also wanted to thank our fiscal services, especially at the district. I know they've been working very hard to close out the fiscal year, and yay, we closed out our fiscal year and are so excited to begin this new school year, new registration. And I just wanted to thank them from the bottom of my heart. I know I have some experience a lot with our fiscal services as working with the financial and bookkeeping at the Temple City High School. And that's why I have a deep gratitude for all their hard work at the district. And then in regards to fiscal services, I did want to address that. So this year, although we had a fully virtual school year, our yearbook team at the high school was still able to pull off an amazing yearbook, which by the way, is still available for purchase in the student activities room 311 at the high school. And you can still purchase yours from Ms. Blank in that room. And I just wanted to bring awareness to the fact that they worked so hard this school year, promoting their yearbook and producing such a wonderful wonderful summary of the school activities and athletics that we were still able to have while virtual. They did take precautions in reducing the amount of yearbooks they produced from the publisher this year. They did reduce the amount that they purchased to 800 yearbooks because they did not anticipate many students to be purchasing yearbooks because it was a virtual school year. However, they were still unable to make enough revenue to pay the publisher, and we were still $5,000 short in the total cost for the yearbook at the Temple City High School. And so we did, however, use our student activities funds to bail them out for that last 5,000, as they were not able to generate enough revenue from the yearbook sales this year. I just wanted to bring awareness to this, and that we did communicate a lot with our administration about this concern, and we did address it. And last but not least, I did want to tag along with everyone else and really wanted to share a student standpoint on how grateful and how thankful we are this school year for Dr. Getty and Dr. Gomez. Thank you so much for all your hard work, your service, and your time. I know as a student, I can tell you that it has been very helpful with all your communication through Student Square. I know sometimes on occasion we have technical difficulties and sometimes Clever crashes, or we had problems with Canvas. And I was so thankful because I got those emails that Dr. Getty and Dr. Gomez sent out saying, hey, Clever is down today. Make sure you notify your teachers. And so that was very helpful. And I wanted to thank you both for all your service and time here at the Temple City Unified School District. And we truly wish you the best in all your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kiana. With that, we're going to move on to superintendent's comments. Dr. Kimberly Fricker. Kim, what do you have for us tonight?
Thank you so much, President Smith. First and foremost, I know that everyone kind of has their eye on the Delta variant and the increase in COVID cases across our county. And so I do want to give a big shout out to the city of Temple City. So in looking at some of the current data that is up there on the vaccination rates, it is reported that we have about 71% of our patrons actually vaccinated, which is great. And then 62 of our student population, and that would be the 13 to 17-year-olds, are vaccinated. So that is a great kind of tip in our favor moving into the school year, which we are excited about building and planning for the reopening of schools. So more information of reopening of schools will come out shortly, but I do think that we're headed into that reopening very, very strong in terms of fighting off the effects of COVID. The second thing, in my superintendent's newsletter, we did make mention of some bell schedules that had to be slated or changed according to Senate Bill 328. And that was the later start Senate bill. That really speaks to having our intermediate schools and high schools start no later than 8:30. So we did have to shift some bell schedules at Oak Intermediate, Temple City High School, and the Douglas Sears Center, so that we would have staggered drop off and pick up and alleviate the traffic congestion around those three schools as families are dropping off their students. So that was published in the superintendent's newsletter, and the principals will be sending out additional information to staff again, and students and parents, just to remind them as we get closer to the start of school what those bell schedules are. Kiana did make a great suggestion to send that out in Student Square, so we will definitely do that beginning in August with those principal communications. And then finally, I do want to just take a moment and thank Dr. Hannah Getty and Dr. Mercedes Gomez for all of your contributions in the past 2 years to the district office. Dr. Gomez was here 2.5 years, just to be correct. But coming into the district, it was a large task. It was a lot to take on in the normal sense of just district leadership and making sure to provide everything good from the district out to the school sites, out to our families. And then to throw in COVID on top of it was just an added effort. So I do want to appreciate the extended amount of time and service and dedication that went well into your personal time, your family time, and probably every orifice of your life And there's just no way really to say thank you for that and the dedication that you've shown to Temple City. We do appreciate all the efforts, the long-lasting legacy of Canvas and moving to a one-to-one district literally within 90 days will surely last across this district. And the systems that were put in place, the processes that were put in place that make our classified staff just much more efficient and much more effective so that they can utilize their time more diligently within their work day and not have to carry so much over to the next day or into the evening is greatly appreciated on all fronts. So thank you so much for your time here, your energy, your effort. Thank your families for the things that you all had to give up in order to make us kind of stand where we are today. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Kim. With that, we're moving on to item 20, written communications. I have not received any written communications. Does anybody else have anything they received want to share? Nope, okay. Then with that, we're going to move on to this discussion information portion of our agenda, starting first with administration, item 21. It'll be a brief presentation from Mari Montgomery on the Temple City Unified School District Connected Organization / Booster Club Manual. Mari? Is Mari here?
Yeah, she's here.
Yes, she's here.
Okay, there, I see her.
I'm here. You just can't hear me. I'm just talking to all of you. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Can y'all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this has been an ongoing project for me since I came on board, was to put this school connected organization and booster club manual together. Of course, COVID sort of took a front seat to some of that in that process. So tonight we are submitting this for your reading convenience, I guess is a way to put it. Quite a few pages to go through, but it was set forth with trying to have several purposes. Those purposes, one, to comply with board policy 1230. And the purpose of the manual is designed to assist parents and community members in establishing and operating school-connected organizations and booths within the district. And my view, I can't even see what I'm reading up here, can I? Oh, let's go back a page. Sorry, folks. And to understand the rules and regulations that govern student or school-connected organizations and booster clubs. There's a lot of Board of Education policy. There's also a lot of education code policy that goes into governing these organizations. And the purpose was to try and put all of this in one manual so that it would be one reference point for any organization on any school campus within the district. The goal is to create a supportive and nurturing environment in order to with TCUSD and school connected organizations in order for those clubs that exist to enhance their financial and operational components affiliated with running state-of-the-art student programs. The contents of this manual have gone pretty in depth. We've created everything from the rules and formulating an annual and the annual application process, everything from rules regarding membership, bylaws for an organization, tax exemption status, insurance requirements, and liability, including the operational components. In other words, use of TCUSD facilities, payments, donations, and fundraising guidelines, capital campaigns. Then the operational components of how do you manage these organizations from a financial management standpoint, creating budgets, financial reporting, annual audits, requirements for 1099s, and retention of records. The final portion of the manual includes resources, anything linking to state policy or education policy, exhibits and forms. We've included everything from an application form to a manual acknowledgement form. After these organizations' leadership has read this manual, they'll acknowledge that they understand it. There's an application for facility use. There's a donation form and process, bank information, and officers of the organization's contact information. And all of this will be compiled upon your approval. It will then be loaded onto the school's website so that the information can be downloaded by the individual organizations that are seeking to apply. And then there's this timeline for approval. This is the first time the manual is being presented to the board for review. On August 18th, board meeting, there will the first reading of the manual will be open for discussion and any edits that you might like to provide. On September 8th will be the second reading of the manual for approval and adoption. And then on September 9th, I will be meeting with those school leadership of these organizations to discuss the adoption of this manual and walk through it with them. And then the 22nd will allow these same organizations to submit their applications for your approval. So I guess I should say, to follow this up, happy reading.
And if I can add on to that, in talking to some of our Booster Club presidents, the presidents change year after year. Sometimes you get some presidents that stay for a bit of time. But when a new Booster Club president or a school connected organization president comes on board, sometimes they're very unfamiliar with how to navigate, what to do first, how to set some things up within the organization. And so we want to lend support and help for those organizations to function in supporting our school and student programs. So this way we can have a one-stop shop in terms of a guide that will actually help and make consistent information available to them. This manual will be updated as laws, regulations, booster board policy and or education code changes over the course of time. And according to our board policies, we do want to recognize our school connected organizations or booster clubs and be approved by the board, because that does offer protection for them. Otherwise, they are literally operating on their own. If the board does not approve that as an organization, then should anything happen, they would not be assisted in terms of liability from the district. So this is actually a way to not only follow our board policy, but also protect those volunteers who are in those groups, serving in those groups alongside of our student programs. So this is just for like a first blush at it. And there will be plenty of time between this board meeting and next board meeting when the first read happens, hopefully for the board to look through the document, ask questions, collect your questions, and then bring that back for the August 18th meeting when we do go through the first reading. And then we would go through the entire board discussion at that time. If there's any comment or question now, we can kind of collect that, and that we can factor that into any alterations or edits to the document from this point forward. And with that, does the board have any questions?
I have a question.
Mary?
Yeah. Was there any parent input as this was developed, or was it strictly done in the district office?
We did pull other district school connected manuals and reviewed those in order to compile and hone down what our manual would ultimately consist of. We did talk to Teresa Wang, who was the head of Ramrodders a while ago. This was before COVID, for input. She was the one who had come and said, where do I start? What do I do? This was way back when she was the beginning of Ramrodders, when she took over the presidency of Ramrodders, which really spawned the idea of trying to compile something to help our parent groups navigate their responsibilities as well. And many of the information inside of the manual really looks at what are those, general guidelines. And then we also have the liaison with the risk management so that the presidents of the school connected organizations do have a person to go to get questions answered and to seek assistance should they need that.
Okay, can I ask one more question? Looking at this timeline, it's showing that they can get approval the end of September. I'm thinking of a lot of the booster or school-related organizations like band boosters or performing arts boosters, things like that. They're already gearing up now for the new year. They're already preparing activities and how they're going to support those groups. Looking at this timeline, I guess my question is, how does that fit? How does their work now fit into this timeline?
So that is a good question. Normally,
until September.
Correct. Well, normally they would seek that annual approval or annual recognition of their group by the board back in May or June, whenever they have their election and they elect their new officers in. So with this year coming back into school, not knowing if we're coming back into school, not coming back into school, that was pushed out a little bit. We do know that some of those organizations are already underway. September 22nd would be probably the first time that we would be able to approve some of those organizations by the board without kind of rushing a timeline and allowing the board to have the normal process of first read, second read, and then actual approval of the document. And we would need that approval prior to meeting with them. So we do want to make sure that it is public, and so that people can weigh in to what this first edit or first draft of the document is. And so I do think that we have ample time for review and edit. And so September 2nd would be the first one that they can get approved. Should they already be kind of rolling and underway, we do understand that. In the manual, you'll see that, as of next year or the spring of 2022, that will be that May, June timeline when they would normally go through the changing of their elected officers, and then they would go through the approval process after they elect their new officers. So it would happen in a normal time frame at the end of this year. And this is something that we're going to have to be implementing and working with those booster groups and school connected organizations, pretty much all through the year. And we understand that in certain situations, all groups are different. They have different needs. They have different activities that they conduct. And so in some cases, they would have to work with risk management one-on-one in order to, inquire as to what activities they were wanting to do. And if there's an additional insurance amount required for some activities, just because of the risk or the nature of the activity, then they have ample time to do that and work with an affiliate here at the district office. But this is something that we are going to have to weave into the fabric of our community throughout the course of this year. And that doesn't mean that everybody has to apply on the 22nd. That would just be the first available date for them to do so.
Right.
Yeah, I am happy to see that you're going to have training for these booster groups, because for some of them this is going to be a little bit of a shock to them, but they're still going to be supporting our kids. But I'm glad that you do have that training part as part of the I think that's real important.
And this is our way of supporting them, so making sure that they have the correct information. Sure. I think none of our family members, none of the presidents or the officers want to do anything incorrectly or wrong. Sure. That's always a worry for them. There hasn't been any information going to them from the district office collectively in the past. There hasn't been training for them. In many cases, in all cases, they haven't even been recognized by the Board of Education, which puts them and their own personal property, in a liability situation, in a liable situation. We don't want to do that for them as well. And it's not that we want to change or dramatically shift the course of what they can or cannot do or govern what they can or cannot do. I think this is really a working relationship that should take time to develop over the course of this year. And this is the way I feel that we can help them I do remember the meeting back with Teresa at the very beginning, and some of them didn't even have insurance, and so they didn't even have the coverage that they needed, to safeguard their own organization. And in other cases, some haven't filed taxes, and so that's a liability on whomever inherits the group moving forward. So there are things that I think the district can do to be more assistive to those programs. And that's really the intent of this. It's not to curtail or say no or put up barriers, but it's a way to work and also collect, that communication back and forth as to what's going on. And if they are doing things, how do we make that safe? Like, what do we do together to make that safe, to make it a great organization or a great event? And in some cases, I think that the district can do more to assist those volunteers that are helping our groups, daily. So it's not meant to be intrusive, although I know that it can feel that way. But we do want to make sure we're doing our part to help them.
I appreciate all the work that you put into putting this
I see.
manual together.
Donna, you have something you want to say? You're muted though.
No, I was just going to say if one of the Booster Club members or officers wanted to get a draft copy of this manual before the August 18th meeting, could they contact you, Mari, to get that?
I would.
They can, but I also believe that Maria's posted it. So it is available either by post or we can definitely get them a copy.
It is.
It wasn't posted.
It has been posted now to the agenda.
Oh, okay.
I just want to close this out with a brief comment. I don't want to belabor it, but I was the former 7-year treasurer for the Kiwanis Club, and I went through this document and I was very impressed with the detail, and it's very comprehensive and thorough, and I think you did a great job. There's some things in here, if people aren't doing them, may be a little bit scary, but if you are, as Dr. Fricker has already said, if you're following the law correctly, this wouldn't take more than maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes to pull the information together. It really wouldn't. You should have all these things already, tax documents and whatnot, bylaws, that kind of stuff.
And if they do need help, we're happy to help them.
Yes, and I think that's great that we're being a resource to help them if they're not maybe following everything as they should be.
I'd like to chime in real quick before we leave this subject, if I could. So I want to thank you for it is definitely comprehensive. And I think it's any question that anybody in a parent organization, which I'm a part of a few parent organizations, this book, this manual will answer those questions. I think it's a matter of the way it's organized. I think that if it's long and it's not that easy just to get a straight, okay, how do I set this up? How do I set up my organization? How do I, if I want to do a fundraiser, how do I do that? It's like all mixed in, blended. And I think if we could have either some process maps or some chapters with a process map at the front that says, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, see page this, see page that, I think it would be easier. And there's like information about, let's say, a specific type of group, athletic groups. There's a lot of information about that's mixed in with everything, where maybe, me as a performing arts person, I don't need to see that, because all I want is the answer to my issue, which doesn't involve the special things related to athletics. Those are just kind of examples of things where I feel like it is daunting if you look at it all, and it's a lot. It's all information they need. So I don't think that's the issue. I think it's just the way it's organized could be a little bit different. And the rest of my feedback, I've only gotten to page 40 of the 100. And so I'll continue to read and then share my feedback.
I will say that we've read it several times, like several of us have read it several times. You try to get it all in the most user-friendly format possible, but but to cover all of the components that we think that they should have access to. Just a note, like when it is published online, the table of contents would be interactive. So you can just click on the table of contents on one area and it will go right to that section of the document, which should make that a little bit easier or more user-friendly. I will go back through the document with Miss Montgomery just to see if, to see if it is more athletically laden. We tried to catch that and incorporate, because there's a lot of different school connected organizations, booster clubs in our district than perhaps in other districts. And that's why you see the two names there, because booster clubs are typically in reference to more of an athletic like type organization, where we do have a lot of school connected organizations with the performing arts and with grad night and a lot of those other great organizations and volunteers that help us out. So, and there are those things that are just going to be one-offs, and there's things that we wouldn't have been able to generally account for in the manual. So when when we do have that meeting with our booster club parents, we are going to stress that and say, listen, if you're thinking of something, if there's a tradition or there's a thing that you do that doesn't quite fit in here, then, you know, please have the conversation with us, because it's really hard to give a general manual to help the breadth of everyone. And then sometimes the specificity of specific groups don't quite fit into that category. So that's why we do have the resource here, and we're happy to help those groups. I do understand that when we do have the training with them, a lot of this can be actually gone through section by section to create a greater level of understanding. We do want to make sure that the public sees it and is aware and has plenty of time to edit before the board actually does approve it. But we will take that into consideration, especially with, you know, trying to tab it or trying to do something different.
And that's all good feedback. When you've looked at it, 100 times and reread it, it's all very helpful. So thank you.
Mari, thank you for all your efforts putting it together. It's so comprehensive, and it's going to be a really great way to protect our booster groups who really do quite a bit for our schools. So thank you for all your efforts putting this together.
Very welcome. And it's the intent of that to be helpful and to be guidelines.
Thank you.
I think we've got this one covered for now.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to move on to item 22, educational services, the Williams complaint quarterly summary from April 1 through June 30th. And the good news is we have no complaints to review. So with that, we're going to move on to item 23 under the discussion action portion of our agenda, starting first in the area of administration. And item 23 calls for a motion to receive board policy for first reading. And the board policies are BP 1313 on civility and BP 6158 independent study. And I don't know if Kim or Mercedes, if there's anything you want to say. We've got the material in front of us, I think.
So I will just speak on this. So sorry, Mercedes, if I cut you off. I didn't mean to do that. So with the board policy on civility, the CSBA never had a board policy on civility. In the past, some districts did make up their own policy. We were really happy to see that they are bringing forth a civility policy to enhance like district customer service and also working with, the public. So what we did was, since Simplicity did have an old version, we mended the two together and really fused our old language with our new language. We kept all of the language there. So we did feel that it was very reflective of the message that, we would want to portray, and making sure that we want to make sure all of our staff members feel safe in their environment, but all of our families get the answers that they need and the questions and their needs attended to. So that's what you see in the civility policy. And then independent study, there is recent legislation that has changed the focus on independent study. We have, all of the districts have become aware that we do need to put in an independent study program mandated to provide online access for students should they want to stay home. So we want to put that forward, so that will help us when we develop the virtual school, that we now have adopted the board policy that actually supports the development of that program, and it will actually serve to guide, those regulations will serve to guide that program.
Any questions or comments from the board? No, then I'm going to go ahead and call for the motion. We have a motion and a second. to approve these board policies for first reading? I see a motion from member Georgino and a second from member Lynn. And I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote, starting first with the student board member Lee.
Yes.
And then member Espinoza,
Yes.
member Georgino,
Yes.
member Lynn.
Yes.
I'm a yes, and member Sneed.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The motion carries 5-0. With that, we're going to move on to item 24, which calls for a motion to approve Board of Education Governance Handbook. And we covered this during our meeting where we talked about board self-evaluation. We went through it in detail. There were some upgrades, Donna. You asked to have some consistency in terms of number of board members requesting things, so we incorporated that. And I also heard from Kiana following the meeting too that we weren't being maybe gender neutral in some cases. And so Marie took a lot of time and went through and looked for the change in pronouns, and that we believe is covered as well. So unless there are any further comments or questions, I'm going to go ahead and call for the motion second to approve. Melissa, you have a question?
No, motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So,
Well, I do have a comment before. I just want to
Okay.
thank Matt for putting this together. This is a lot of work. It's very comprehensive. So I really appreciate all the time that you spent on this.
Thank you. You're very welcome. And Marie put in probably as much or more time than me, but thank you. Okay, so we have a motion from member Espinoza, a second from member Lynn. And I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. Student board member Lee,
Yes.
member Georgino,
Yes.
member Lynn.
Yes.
I'm a yes, member Sneed,
Yes.
and member Espinoza.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to the educational services area. Item 25 calls for a motion to approve the consolidated application for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. And are there comments or questions, Mercedes, Dr. Gomez, that you'd like to say or provide?
So this is part of our the annual CONAP, which is the abbreviation of the consolidated application. So this is where we actually apply for the title funds, and then at the later submission, we will find out based on our CBEDS data or our census data, which is typically the first Wednesday in October. Based on our enrollment there is when they finalize our counts, and then they would finalize the dollar amounts that we would be entitled to. The dollar value listed below is based on preliminarily what we estimate our numbers to be.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call for the motion in the second, please. Motion from member Lynn, second from member Espinoza. And I'll go ahead and call for the vote. Student board member Lee,
Yes.
member Lynn,
Yes.
I'm a yes, member Sneed,
Yes.
member Espinoza,
Yes.
and member Georgino.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to item 26, this motion calls for approval of the renaming Temple City Alternative School to Temple City Virtual Academy. Any comments or questions on this? Susan, do you have anything you want to say? I read your staff report.
I will handle this for Susan. So the independent school, we're using the same CBED code for the independent school that will become the virtual academy. Giving it an actual name is the first step in the process. The board will actually approve the name and the logo for the school, and then we would move that forward for state approval and recognition.
Any comments or questions from the board? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call for the motion second, please. May I have a motion second? Motion from member Sneed and second from member Lynn. And I'll go ahead and call for the vote. Student board member Lee.
Yes.
I am a yes. A member Sneed.
Yes.
Member Espinoza.
Yes.
Member Georgino.
Yes.
And member Lynn.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. That we're moving on to the business services portion of our agenda. Item 27, which calls for approval of the 2020 through 2021 adjustments. May I have a motion and a second to approve, please? Motion from member Lynn. Second from Member Sneed. Any comments or questions about this by Mercedes or board members? No? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. Student Board Member Lee,
Yes.
Member Sneed,
Yes.
Member Espinosa,
Yes.
Member Georgino,
Yes.
Member Lynn,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well, so the motion carries 5-0. Moving on to the area of personnel services, item 28 calls for a motion to approve local assignment authorization. Do we have any comments or questions about this by either Dr. Getty or board members?
I just want to give a little background on it because it is
Please.
becoming, it's something that's always been done, but not necessarily monitored. So CalSAS is a system that has been put together. The CTC is now really closing in on correct credentials being used in various situations. So if you have administrators, they need to have an administrative credential. If you're teaching a single subject, they need to have that subject credential, and multiple subject, vice versa. So it's just making sure that we're in alignment. If you remember back when we did our SARC reports, we had several misassignments, and those misassignments had a lot to do with just things that were not corrected in a timely manner that you can control. Some things are more difficult to control. For example, we may have a class that's been taught 4 years by a certain individual and it's not appropriately matched. And so the board might just decide that's a misassignment, and this is how we're handling it. So at some point, funding can become part of this, and the county office as well as the state, or if it's a federal program that's funding it, can question what's going on with the misassignment. So it's really important that you get your misassignments down to a very small amount. Last year, we were not, so it's always done in arrears. So remember that your information day is in October 7th. And that information day is then used later on. You go back and assess where you were on that information day. So these misassignments that we're going to deal with from the 2021 year were from October 2020. So you don't know those yet, but they will come to you soon in the next few months. And that it'll make you feel like, let's fix this right now, but it's too late. They were already supposed to be fixed. So what's important is that as we move along, we continue to fix them. So bringing these to you now before the school year, what we're asking is for the board to do a local assignment, which you're allowed to do per ed code. And that is just to say that these particular teachers are not credentialed to authorize PE credits for what they're teaching or coaching, but because it's one period and they're doing it in this correct way, you're able to authorize it. So that's what this is asking you. And that'll clean up a lot of our misassignments that we've had in the past. So that's what this is for.
And we routinely do this about this time every year too.
We do, but for whatever reason, it wasn't done last year. So you're going to see, so in the 1920 year, CalSAS was a non-consequential, meaning like it's just a warning, everything's fine. The 2021 will be consequential. And I just want to warn you that when you are given the report, you're going to have several misassignments because they weren't corrected in time in October of 2020. So because we just started, CalSAS it's one of those things that started and then they just had you do a check and do a check. And so now getting caught up. By October of 2021, you should be in much better shape, which would mean in the following year of 22, your misassignments should be much smaller. You just want to be careful that you don't have a willful misassignment where you knew it was a misassignment and you did it anyway. That's where you would have trouble. When it's a misassignment for something that we didn't catch and we have a reason for it and we corrected it, all they look for is that the next year, that same corrected misassignment is not a misassignment. For example, last year we corrected all these. We brought to you, I want to say in March, maybe April, the corrected misassignments for the beginning of the 2021 year. It still counts as misassignment and it will still be a ding for us, but we did correct it and now we're doing it correctly for the 21-22. So about 8 to 10 misassignments will be gone from the count of about 16. So you shouldn't be getting bigger, you should continue to get smaller in your misassignments.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call for a motion in a second then to approve this. Motion from member Georgino, a second from member Lynn. And I'll go ahead and call for the vote. Board member Lee?
Yes.
Member Espinosa?
Yes.
Member Georgino?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
I'm a yes, and member Sneed.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you. The vote carries 5-0. That we're moving on to item 29, calls for a motion to approve the Executive Director of Instructional Technology position. And Dr. Fricker, is there something you want to say on this?
So in looking at all of the technology and the movement towards one-to-one that we have had in the past, all of the software and programs that we have put in place, including Canvas, all the work that has been done throughout this past year and COVID, that much of has been mentioned. And in conversation with Dr. Getty, it became apparent that we do need oversight over the educational portion of technology. Technology, in terms of the positions we have currently, is more of the infrastructure and the implementation of the hardscape components and the hardware of technology. And the transition to continuing forward with instructional technology, I think, is paramount to the district moving forward. So we would like the board to just approve this position in terms of having someone oversee the educational component of technology, the instructional component of technology, as a way to help assist our teachers keep moving forward with the implementations that we already have, and then continue to move forward to see what comes down the pipeline. So that's what was presented tonight in terms of this position, with the appointments of the coordinators, both Amy and Scott. They would kind of take on that curriculum and instructional role components, so we would not be refilling or reflying the director of curriculum and instruction.
And you included a description of the responsibilities for this position in the board packet, so we've seen that.
I have a question.
Please.
Later in item 35, there's an 35A7 is the assistant superintendent of instruction. On this item, we have the assistant superintendent of educational services. So maybe we align those two.
Yes, that's a good idea. So sorry about that.
No worries. That happens. I mean, it's
Good.
pretty much the
Good
same
catch.
department.
Good catch. All right, unless there are any further comments or questions, I'm going to go ahead and call for the motion in a second. Okay, so may I have a motion? Motion from member Lynn, a second from member Georgino, and I'll go ahead and call for the vote. Student board member Lee.
Yes.
Member Georgino.
Yes.
Member Lynn.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Member Sneed
Yes.
and member Espinosa.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. With that, we're on to the consent portion of our agenda, and these include routine items approved by one motion and one vote, unless a member of the board or the audience requests that any item be reviewed and voted upon separately. We'll go ahead and call for the motion unless somebody wants to pull something for a separate vote.
I do. I just had a question. I had a question about item 33.
Okay, we can vote on it at the same time, but you just want to ask a question?
Yeah. I just want to ask a question.
Fire away.
So I was looking at the PO, page 13, and I noticed, 3 separate attorney firms that we're working with, and I completely understand the one numbered 22-00044. I understand that's specific to like building and grounds types of legal issues, but I thought we didn't need any longer 22-00052.
Funny you would ask that question. I talked to Kim about that today.
So that would be the attorney firm AALRR. And yes, and so we do still have some contracts out with AALRR with regard to special education. And so that's where you see that. And it's a not to exceed amount to ensure that we have enough to continue that work in those cases, but not to exceed. Meaning we don't have to use the entire amount if we don't need to.
These are budgeted dollars that have been set aside to use them if we shall need to.
Correct. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions about any of the items in the consent agenda? No, I don't think I asked for a motion or a second, so I need a.
One comment, Matt.
Please.
I just wanted to tell Mercedes, it's much easier to read.
Oh, yeah.
And I hope that the public thinks so too. So thank you.
I
It
concur.
took a little bit of work, but I think it's a lot more seamless and easier to digest.
Definitely.
Okay, may I have a motion and a second, please? Motion from member Lynn and a second from member Georgino. I keep having this little white hand pops up and I think it's somebody's hand, but it's not. We'll go ahead and call for the vote. Student Board Member Lee,
Yes.
Member Lynn,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Member Sneed,
Yes.
Member Espinosa,
Yes.
and Member Georgino.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. With that, we're on to item 37, board member comments. Any comments anybody wants to make? Donna?
When I was at the Committee on Aging meeting last night, I was asked about what the situation is for the coming year with crossing guards. So I didn't know if, Kim, you could address that now or maybe at the next meeting so people would know.
I can definitely do that at the next meeting. I'll coordinate with the city the information.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to add that to our future agenda items and then to item 38. Dr. Lynn, Mike?
Just another comment. Now that we have formally approved the certificate of personnel order, I would like to extend my congratulations to Dr. Tamar Kadaroyan and your promotion on being the Assistant Superintendent of Personnel, and also Mr. Richard Lohman as the Assistant Superintendent of Instruction / Educational Services. Also, congratulations to Ms. Linda Heredia. Welcome to Temple City Unified School District, and to La Rosa Elementary, which has always remained as one of the top 4 elementary schools in Temple City Unified School District. Congratulations.
Thank you. Very well said. You beat me to it. And I'm sure all of the board members echo those comments too, as we mentioned. Okay, so any other, I guess, comments or future agenda items? Seeing.
Matt, just thank you to every part of our staff for surviving a year and a half of pandemic craziness. You have gone above and beyond anything anybody could ask of you. You just kept giving and giving and giving. So thank you so much for everything you've done for all of our families, all of our students. And I really appreciate it, every effort that was put out in the last year. And we're hopefully people are taking a little break, taking a little rest, and getting ready for what's coming up this fall.
Thank you. With that, we are on to item 39. Any additional public comments? And I'm doubting there are.
No.
Okay, I see Marie shaking her head no. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and call for a motion and a second to adjourn our meeting tonight. May I have a motion and a second, please? Motion from Member Espinosa and a second from Member Lynn. And I will go ahead and call for the vote. Student Board Member Lee?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Member Sneed?
Yes.
Member Espinosa?
Yes.
Member Georgino?
Yes.
And Member Lynn?
Yes.
And I didn't miss the student board member once tonight. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.